Perfect. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome. And thank you so much for joining us for today's small business development session, Curious Conversations That Connect. I sent it in an email, but this is an engaging presentation. So please turn on your cameras. We will be going into breakout rooms and testing out some of the tips that Kathlynn will discuss. So we encourage you to do that. But the Chamber is so grateful to provide this offering free of charge to our Chamber members because of the generosity of our sponsor, Lake Spirit College. LSC has been super instrumental in allowing us to continue to bring these educational offerings to you. So for that, we are grateful. And of course, at this time, I am most delighted to introduce our speaker today, Kathlynn McConnell. She is the Director of Learning and Development over at Members Cooperative Credit Union, and a self-titled high introvert and really engaging to listen to. So Kathlynn, I am really excited to learn those trade secrets you have to networking and all of the possibilities that networking can have on your small business. So please take it away.
Absolutely. Thanks very much. And good morning, everyone. It's still morning, right? We still have one more hour before the clock ticks to afternoon. Boy, days go by quickly. It is so nice to see you. Thank you. For those of you who are able to turn your cameras on, that's awesome. I understand it's a little more challenging, and that's all right. We're just glad that you showed up today. And I'm going to ask you to physically raise your right hand if in the last year you have attended an either in-person or virtual networking event. Raise your right hand, wave it around if you have. Hey, Kate, good to see you. And raise your left hand if you have in the last year had a conversation with an individual that you didn't know very well. Raise your left hand. Ah, my friends, you have been networking this last year. Networking, it's making connections. Networking is a vital component to building a successful and sustaining a successful business. Networking is vital to increasing your circle of influence so that you can walk towards success together. But man, oh man, I think there are a lot of people that just don't embrace that process. When I say networking, does that conjure up thoughts of, oh, small talk? I have to do an hour of small talk, or I'm going to walk in a room or a Zoom session, I won't know anybody, or oh my gosh, what if so-and-so is there? I don't want to talk to them. Or how many conversations can we have about the weather? And finally, get me out of here. So any of those thoughts ever cross your little gray cells? Yeah. What I want to do today for you is share some easy peasy, user-friendly tips that really inspire and transition small talk into curious conversations that connect. And so with that, you can all see my screen, it is my hope. Alrighty, and I'm going to get my little mouse in play here, and we're going to go to the next one. I am going to ask Chris to put us in breakout rooms. Oh my gosh, that means you have another human being that you're going to have to talk to. And here's what each of you will be able to do. I'm going to ask you to state your name, where you work, and what do you do. State your name, where you work, and what do you do. And you'll have up to 3 minutes, and Chris will give you kind of a little halfway point of when we're coming back to the main room. So your name, what you do, and where you work. All right, Chris, whisk us off to the little breakout rooms, please.
I will whisk us away. Let's see.
Alrighty, I'll start my little timer.
Perfect. I'm going to pause this recording.
Welcome back. So, hello. Did you have any pauses of after those 3 questions, you know, name, what do you do, where do you work? Did you end up with maybe a little pause of now what do we do? Okay, no, you're a great, you know, I bet you asked additional questions, right?
Maybe. We
Maybe.
also had some technology challenges, and Bud is currently still working.
Understandable. Well, I'll tell you what, this is networking. This is an opportunity. When we are on Zoom, so often it's just a, Brady Bunch boxes, and we don't get to connect with each other. So we're going to do another one in just a moment using the techniques that I'm going to be talking about today. So back to my screen. Amy Cuddy, who is a social psychologist, and she's also a Harvard Business School professor, states that when people meet you, they evaluate you on 2 criteria. The first one is, do I trust this person? The second one is, do I respect this person? Are they competent? And those 2 domains are referred to by psychologists as the warmth and competence model, or warmth and competence domain. And as business owners, business workers, professionals, that's all of you and I, we want to come across as competent. We want people to perceive us as somebody who's a go-getter, who's got this job. And if you're trying to get business from somebody else or seek some sort of bridge or connection, we so want them to see that we are competent and that we can do a good job. What Amy Cuddy says, and we do this through what I just asked you to do. We also ask those questions right away. Who are you? What is it you do? And then oftentimes, especially when you're in a group that you haven't met before, then it slows down a little bit and you start looking around. Okay, I asked those 2 competent questions. Now what do we do? Maybe I should be a little more friendly. Maybe I should throw a 3rd question in there. So, cold enough for you? We go to weather, because we all experience weather. And I tell you, sometimes that gets to be kind of humdrum. Jan, you have heard all that stuff before, because it's almost as if it's an interrogation, but there's no connection in there. For example, when I have a business called Lifestyle Consulting Services, as well as the full-time learning and development manager for Members Cooperative. When I first started my business, one of the first things I did, of course, was join the chamber network, right? I remember exactly where I was standing when this event happened. I introduced myself. I was going to be bold because I want people to know I got this business. I'm competent. So I approached this gentleman and I stuck out my hand and I said, hi, I'm so-and-so. And he mentioned his name. And I said, and you need me. And then for the next 3 minutes, I rattled off everything I could think of that would make me sound competent, like a business owner, somebody that he would want services from. And eventually he let me rattle on for a while. And then he held up his hand. He goes, whoa, wait a minute. How do you know what I need? You don't even know me. Stabbed me in my little beginning professional heart. It's like, he was right. I didn't know anything about him. I was trying to be competent. When Amy Cuddy says that the first component dimension that you want to focus on is the trust, the warmth factor. This goes back to our caveman days. It's a carryover. We needed to be able to trust that the other caveman that's walking towards us on that pathway was not going to kill us for food. We wanted to be able to trust them before we're able to listen to them tell us their spiel about how they can build us the best fire. So trust, that warmth component must come first. And you can do that by a couple of different tips. Oh, get ready, because here they come. When you meet someone for the first time, and go ahead and throw this in chat or go ahead and unmute and shout it out from the rooftops. When you meet someone for the first time, whether you know them or not, when you meet them, what's one of the first things you notice? What's one of the first things you notice?
Their smile.
Smile, good. Thank you, Demetra. What else?
Body language.
Body language, absolutely.
Eye contact.
Eye contact, good, yeah. Vanessa Van Edwards is a social psychologist and does a lot of study on human factors and how we interact. Says it's actually our hands. And again, carryover from our caveman days, because open hands signifies friend, 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 friend. If you attend an event and you have your hands in your pocket or under the table, if you're sitting or behind you, people start to wonder what's going on there? What have you got there? And it goes back to our fight, flight, or freeze response. Hands. I don't know if you recall, what's one of the first things I did when Chris introduced me? Yeah, I waved at you. Open hand, friend, 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 friend. What did I ask you to do right away when we started? Yep, raise your hand, raise your right hand, because people could see the open hand. You can even do this virtually in virtual meetings. When you want to establish trust, people need to see your hands, and then they go to your body language, your face, eye contact, and all of that. I'm not suggesting you do jazz hands the whole time. Just once or twice, and when you're describing things, use your hands. If you want to make one point, use your hands. Enough so they can see you. Not, it doesn't help if you're doing it down by your lap because nobody can see you there. Plus, I'm not sure if you have clothing on. So do it where your clothing is and where people can see you. So establishing trust, easily done just by showing them an open hand. Now think about how you stand when you're in person. Do you stand with your hands in a ball on your hips? Do you stand with your hands clasped behind you? Are they in your pockets? Are they hidden? Keep that in mind. To ignite a curious conversation, first they have to be trusting you before they want to hear what you have to say. Oh yeah, season of contagiousness. And I'm not talking pandemic. I'm not talking endemic. I'm not talking colds. You and your emotions are contagious. Did you just wonder what I did? Did you just wonder what I saw when I went? That's a micro expression. It got your attention, didn't it? I was watching you. It got your attention. We communicate with micro expressions. There's about 7 of them. One is fear. So when I did, the rest of you are probably thinking, what? So now you're alert and maybe a little uncomfortable. What if I did a micro expression like this? And I really, really want you to get this. This is a micro expression called smiling. Remember, we used to do that about 2.5 years ago when we were refreshed and felt really good. We take ourselves so seriously and we're tired. But when you smile, an actual authentic smile, where your cheekbones get involved and they crinkle up your eyes and your eyes twinkle a little bit, that's the micro expression of an authentic smile, and it actually can produce happiness in you. But you're contagious. It produces happiness and in the other individual because it releases dopamine from your pleasure center. It's free drugs, my friends, and you can pass this along to anybody else without getting arrested. An authentic smile creates trust. When there is trust, there's more of a bond for competence to be established. When we are talking about curious conversations that connect, we need to be aware of the greatest hits. So curious conversations means you ask questions, right? If we ask a question like, so been pretty busy lately? Your brain automatically searches for hits of busy, 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 busy. So in your mind and your gut, what does busy, what kind of emotions or feelings do you get when you hear that word busy? Go ahead and throw it out there, unmute, or type it in chat. What do you feel, experience when you hear that word busy?
Excitement.
Excitement. Good. What else?
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. Good. What else?
Tired.
Tired. Yeah.
Stressed.
Oftentimes in our world, busy signifies overwhelmed, stressed, tired, exhausted, frustrated. Oh my gosh. And you think of all the work that you've still got to do. And what your brain is doing, it's looking for hits that are connected with that word busy. And you're borrowing emotions from when you were busy last time and it didn't go so well, and you're bringing it plunk right into the present conversation. And that feeling, that emotion of busyness, being overwhelmed and stressed can dilute curiousness. And then your conversations don't connect as well. So think about the words that elicits emotions that people are borrowing from the past. Rather than asking a question with a negative hit, how busy have you been lately? Asking something like, what new initiatives do you have coming for the new year? What's something that you're excited about? Oh, excited. Now that makes you sit up a little straighter, doesn't it? Oh, I remember I was excited in 1929. Yeah, I've been around the block a lot. Okay, I exaggerate a little bit. Maybe it was 1989, but I was excited once. I remember what that feels like. And then that emotion is borrowed and brought into the conversation. And it has a different feel. And it will reveal different things. And it will reveal more trust. And therefore, you'll be able to build on your competence. So, technology, there we go. I have 3 screens. Which one shall I look at today? So what in the world does this mean? Just remember that you have the power. You have the power to not only create pleasure in yourself through an authentic smile, to release that dopamine, you can release it in the individuals you are talking to. When individuals who use micro expressions for good, not evil, for positive, not negative, they become more memorable and likable. Wouldn't you rather network with somebody who is more memorable and likable than somebody you go, oh, there they are again, and spend the whole time hiding from them? In Zoom, you can't get away. We see you. You're there. But at least in a room, when you're in person, you can hide out in the bathroom or go up to the food bar again. It's important to be able to utilize your expressions, your body posture, and your words that will invite curiosity and will invite positive vibes. Now, I'm not saying you have to be, a Pollyanna for the whole conversation, because that's not realistic. But to establish trust so that you can bridge it to competence, you want to increase the feeling of, yeah, you're likable, and I think I can connect with you. And you can do that easily through that micro expression of an authentic smile. So I hope you floss today, because we are going to try it. Now, your muscles might get a little sore because you might not have smiled in a while. Oh, look at you, Derek. Awesome. It's a beautiful smile. I want to see teeth. I want to see teeth. I don't care if you brush today or not. I want to see your teeth. Now, look at that. Squishes up your zygomatic muscles here. Your eyes start to twinkle and crinkle up. Hey, I have earned these crow's feet because I smile a lot. And when you smile, you feel, can't you feel it already? Some of you are even going smiling now, giggling. You feel better. Jessie, come on, you can do this smile. There you go. Thank you. Now, I want you to notice the difference between that authentic smile and a fake smile. That fake smile that just reaches your lips but does not do anything here or here. Your eyes certainly don't twinkle. It's like when you're telling somebody you don't really like that you're happy for their success. Yeah, I'm happy for your success. Gee, that sounds great. That's a fake smile. That does not release dopamine. In fact, that releases curiosity or detracts from curiosity. And then the conversation is more of that monkey picture, boring, no connection. So you don't have to be a Cheshire cat during the whole conversation, but periodically put an authentic smile in there, because people want to feel welcomed. People want to feel like they belong. And a smile is a universal way to do that. You become more memorable yourself. You become more likable when you can smile. Now think about your presence when you're networking on Zoom. Chris and I were talking about this a little earlier, that Zoom fatigue. If I have to look at one more box on this stupid computer, I don't know, I'm going to lose my mind. But really look into the eyes of the people that you're communicating with and notice what this is doing. When you are trying to communicate with someone, to network with them, if their face is just, that's scary. You don't want to go back there. You want to get out of there as soon as you can. Let your face bring the bridge from trust to competence, from that warmth to competence. Smile every now and then. As you know, even if you don't feel like smiling, when you do smile and it's authentic, all the way up to your eyeballs, you release also not just dopamine, but endorphins. Endorphins are morphine-like, pain-killing, natural hormones, and you release the herd when you smile. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to double dog dare you. Every morning for the rest of the week, when you wake up, I want you to smile for 2 minutes. Oh, I work in a financial, and that's not 2, that's 3. Here we go. 2 minutes. I want you to smile for 2 minutes. Now, the rest of your family is going, what is up with you? Do this on the freeway. People really give you lots of room then if you're smiling, nobody else is in the car. When you smile for 2 straight minutes, you release dopamine and endorphins for 4 hours. You have a flow of 4 hours, and it makes you feel good. And when you feel good, others get a sense of that because you're catchy, you're contagious. So when you are feeling good, it helps you manage the challenges that we have during this pandemic endemic phase. So that's the biggest tip. And you're thinking, how in the world does that lead into conversations? You haven't even talked about that. We got to get your conversational container ready to conversate. And that's how you do that. Now, in a moment, Chris is going to send you back into that little breakout room. But instead of asking the interrogation questions of what's your name? Where do you work? What do you do? You get to ask these questions. Are you working on anything exciting right now? Anything exciting coming up? Do you have any vacations that you're excited about? If not, what vacation would you be excited about? What's something good that's happened to you this week or this month or this year? Good golly, Miss Molly, I hope you can answer that. At least, something good that's happened at least over the last year. You got to dig deep, but something good has happened. You showed up here today. You got a pulse. That's a good thing. So you are going to spend 3 minutes in this breakout room. And I want each of you to answer the question of your choice. Now, if you have all done that within 3 minutes, think of another curious question that could bring positive emotions to the conversation. So we're going to give you 3 minutes. What questions might you have before you're released to the task? All righty, I see none. So Chris, please release them to the breakout room and have a great conversation. You all survived. So I do want you to unmute and share
We didn't just survive, Kathlyn, we thrived.
Yes.
And a girl, Kate. So, as long as I've got you unmuted here, did you notice energy difference between the first time and the second time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
more
Yes.
energy. Did you find out a little bit more about that individual that was in your group?
Absolutely.
You know, and maybe on the video, on the recording, you might be able to see this, but you came back with smiles. First time, not so much. And it seems like, do you feel different?
Mhm.
Little biological difference there? Yeah. It is amazing when you can start to engage with somebody at just a different level, when it's not an interrogation, but it's more of a curious conversation. And so when we're curious about other individuals, we tend to lessen our judgment about them. Oftentimes what we see visually about somebody is instantly we're making impressions about them. And they're not often positive impressions. However, if you are curious, if you enter into a conversation with those you like and with those that aren't your best friends, but you enter in it with curiosity, you are much more interested and present in that conversation. When you are present in the conversation, other people feel noticed. And that's one of our basic human needs, is to be acknowledged and feel like we belong. When we're interested, we are more apt to listen to learn rather than respond. Now think about that. When you meet somebody, you're starting to already think, okay, when's my turn to communicate? And you want them to know about you. Networking isn't necessarily all about you. It's about how you can help those you're networking with. It's about being servant-hearted. So if the conversation is all about them in this networking moment, you've done your job. Because you found out a little bit more about them, then you can understand what their needs are. And maybe you have somebody that you can provide, a name you can provide for them for a particular need that you would not have found if you just asked those basic interrogation questions and weather questions. You deepen relationships. And isn't our world a much better place when we have deeper relationships that involve understanding and trust? Our communities are stronger for it. Our circle of influence grows and grows and grows. Doesn't mean everybody in your circle of influence has to be your best buddy. But what it does for you is help you know how you can serve your village, your community, your tribe, your peeps. And by doing so, making that connection, they'll be able to make a connection back to you. That opens up more room to talk about your competence. So warmth first by engaging in a smile, showing people your hands even virtually just once by hi everybody, waving, easy peasy. But it's subconsciously we see that, oh, this is a comfortable place to be. Okay, I get it. Now you're probably wondering, so what are some fabulous conversation starters that will be a curious start? So Chris is going to send you the slides of this, and in there I just put a couple in there that I really encourage you from today forward to start putting into your repertoire. Now you don't want to be constantly peppering people with questions, because then it does turn into an interrogation. It can be, yes, it can be back and forth. But instead of thinking of your response, think about what you're learning so that you can say, oh, you can ask the next question. So if you don't like the Bahamas, where do you like to go? What other places inspire you, or what other warm places do you like to go? Remember, we want to elicit and have those contagious elements of emotion, have them borrow from the past to bring into the present, to make it more engaging. Again, yes, we do have difficult things that we need to talk about, but switch it up a little bit. Put some curious conversation questions in your communication, because you're going to learn more about people. You're going to be more engaged. What's the best thing that's happened to you? If you say, what's the best thing that has happened to you today? You know, that's a tough one, because maybe it hasn't happened yet. So give them a little space. You know, how about this week, or maybe this month, or maybe this year? So make it easy for them to respond. You probably thought there was going to be oodles of pages of 62 questions that you can answer, or that you can ask. I wanted this to be more experiential for you, and so you understand from the inside out why this makes a difference. And so starting out with the warmth and watching your micro expressions and helping somebody feel like they belong in the moment and that you are paying attention. You're actively listening to learn. It helps them feel like they belong. And it will bridge to competence and how you can help each other succeed in their organization and in the community. So now is the time for questions. What curious questions might be romping around your little gray cells?
I have a question to kick it off.
Yes. Thank you, Chris.
Can
Don't leave me
you-
hanging.
Can you talk about the over generic questions, the how are yous, right? So I'm understanding, like, there's better questions that I can ask someone when I see them. How would you recommend someone respond if that's the question they are asked?
You know, you can, that is brilliant, Chris. And that wasn't a plant. That was just a brilliant question. Thank you. When you respond using some of those techniques of talking about something that was exciting, or something energetic that you're working on, or a challenge that you're looking to succeed at. Because remember, that's going to bring a smile to you, because you're borrowing those hits of excitement from before. You've brought them into the current present moment, and that is going to then increase excitement and warmth in the other person. So even if they say, how are you, instead of fine, because we're northern Minnesotans, where everything's fine, it's not really, but it's fine, you can say, you know what, thanks for asking, there's something exciting I've been working on, or I'm looking forward to, or, you know, I'm planning a vacation for 2026. So bring the excitement into it, the curiousness, elicit it yourself if you're asked the basic questions. Does that help clarify?
Yeah, that was wonderful, because you touched on the word busy, because when someone says, how are you? I often say, I'm really busy. I'm good, but really busy.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my go-to, because I am really busy, but it's interesting to say, to touch on the emotions that elicits, because I could obviously be answering better. So thank you.
And it doesn't diminish your busyness. It doesn't say that you're not busy, but it just takes the focus into something that gives you more energy and gives the conversation more energy.
Yeah, thank you. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone else have any questions? Feel free to pop it in the chat, and I'm happy to read it. Otherwise, you're welcome to unmute yourself.
Kathlynn, sometimes I run into people that are better at this question answering or question asking game than I am. And I find that, you know, it might be right before a meeting or something. And we have 3 minutes before the meeting starts, and they're so good at like firing off questions that I never get the chance really to like ask them something. And then I feel like potentially I've not made the best impact or impression on that person, because I didn't get the chance before this meeting to kind of, you know, prove to them I'm trustworthy and interested in what they're doing and all of those things. And so how would you recommend kind of taking that position and making it into a positive? Is it
Yeah.
making sure to follow up with them after the meeting? Is it making sure to maybe find their email and reach out after? Or what would you say kind of the best way of approaching that situation would be?
I love that you asked that. That's good thinking. As I would tell my grandchildren, you're using your thinking brain today. That's awesome. Because that does happen. And we are usually screeching up against time, aren't we? And oh yeah, here we see you in the hallway, we're walking down, or you've got the Zoom meeting started and the business part of it doesn't start for 60 more seconds. So what I have done, and it's an idea, whether it fits you or not, what I have done is two different things. I would say, I've said before, that's a great question, but you know what? Let me ask you something first. That's a great question. I'll answer that, but let me ask you something first. Or you had a great idea, Kate, of following up after the fact, either by a phone call or email. Phone calls are nice. We use Zoom a lot, but everything doesn't have to be Zoom. It can be like a phone call, an old-fashioned phone call, and or email too. But that follow-up is a really good idea, where you can initiate those curious questions. Does that help? Good. What else? Ooh, you're just so full of information that now you just got to download it and let it sink in a little bit. Well, I'll tell you, I have my contact information on the handout that she's going to send. And so I welcome a curious conversation from you. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, if something comes up later that you're not sure about, or if you're at a networking event and something didn't go how you wanted it to, I'd be happy to visit with you about that.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kathlyn. Everyone, thanks for joining us today, and certainly to Lake Superior College for sponsoring the event. I will distribute the slides, like Kathlyn said, and her contact information, so please do reach out, follow up, say hello, and I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for coming, everyone.